Well, hello. Good evening, everybody. It is not quite Saturday morning, so I'm still able to say evening. This is the Missing Wolves post-game live stream podcast thing. I'm your host, Andrew Dukowitz, and I am riding solo tonight. Guest had to drop through kind of at the last minute. Everything's okay. I'm not going to out any more guests after I outed Kyle Teige for being a dog dad, and people made fun of him for dropping out of a podcast to be a dog dad, which, as a dog dad who is currently wearing a Rescue Minnesota shirt, rescue dogs in Minnesota shirt, I'll clarify, because there's other things that need rescuing in Minnesota, but I take dog dads very seriously. So Kyle had the utmost reason to have an out, but we are going to get to the 110-105 loss to the Houston Rockets by the Minnesota Timberwolves. Before we get to it, just want to acknowledge, like I have been at all of these, of just I do know there's a lot of unrest, a lot of fear, a lot of stuff going on in Minnesota and Minneapolis right now. I'm hoping to at least provide a distraction for a little bit of time for people that are tuning into this podcast. So I'm going to keep it sports related, because sports have always been a distraction for me. But like I say, I always want to at least acknowledge, like, I'm not blind to the amount of garbage that's happening in this state, in this city right now. So with that being said, I'm going to throw us over to our Firehawk ad read and Nate Pence right away, just to set the tone. When we come back, we're going to talk free throws, because good Lord, tonight was rough, but we'll get the ad reads out of the way early. Well, hello. Thank you, live stream Andrew. This is Ad Read Andrew. And today we have Firehawk Construction and Remodeling, the presenting sponsor for the Missing Links podcast. Firehawk Construction and Remodeling strives to inspire people to follow their ideas, working with respect and understanding to create a quality, tailored result. Firehawk Construction and Remodeling, located in Blaine and serving in the North Metro area, is here to help you with your building and remodeling needs. I can say personally, thanks to Firehawk Construction and Remodeling, I have a beautiful deck in my backyard, and countless projects that I started, they finished. Get started on your new deck or remodel today by calling Isaac at 763-710-5686. And we're back with another ad read, this time for Pence Homes, the presenting sponsor of Hitting the Hardwood Network. From the best tools and technology to transparency throughout the entire process, Nate Pence and the Pence Homes team is the top choice for buyers, sellers, and is proud to support you and your home ownership goals. Get started today by calling 612-308-1122 or by emailing info@pencehomes.com. Couple housekeeping things. Firehawk Construction does have a new phone number. That number is 651-315-4291. Again, that phone number is 651-315-4291. At some point, I will record a voiceover with the right number. Just haven't had time to, so I apologize to Firehawk Construction. And for anyone that is looking for a remodel, pipe burst in the basement, you need your bathroom redone, can't recommend them highly enough. Great people, family owned, in the North Metro area, just phenomenal. Pence Homes also, on their side, they are still collecting money for food and food deliveries in the Minneapolis, St. Paul downtown areas, just to kind of help people out during this time, whether people are not going into work, whether, people are kind of staying home, lying low. It's a way for people to donate if you have trust issues, giving your money to people I can say that people in my family, some libertarians, not a big fan of donating money to causes they don't know it's going to go to the good place for. Nate Pence is really just trying to go out there and help people out that are in a bind. So if you're looking for a way to help, Can't recommend that enough. You can email info@penshomes.com. They will set you up with how to make a donation, or if you go on their Facebook page, their Instagram page, Blue Sky, or Twitter, they have that information there as well. But let's get to basketball. Enough serious non-basketball stuff. Wolves lose to Houston 110-105. They did carry a 1-point lead going into the fourth quarter, and up until that fourth quarter, it seemed like a pretty darn good game. Julius Randle was humming along. I mean, finishes with 39 points, but it looked like no one on Houston could really contain him. I mean, they were trying Okogie, they were trying Thompson, they were trying Sengun. I mean, no one could really slow him down, which, despite how much ESPN's commentators continued to talk about how much Thompson has bulked up over the summer, didn't really seem to help in slowing Julius down. Goes 14 of 25, 9 from 11 on the free throw line. Shot 2 of 5 from 3. I mean, he was a force. And I think when you're looking at the positives coming out of this game, again, this is the second game in a row without Anthony Edwards. You got to look at Julius and just what he's able to do as kind of that center focal hub of an offense, which listeners of the show have kind of know that I've been, for at least the last couple months, of just saying, like, Julius is the quote unquote point guard. Like, a lot of his actions, a lot of the stuff that starts the offensive play run through Julius. And I think the scoring pop that he was able to kind of show tonight without Ant is encouraging, which, when you're playing teams like Houston, Denver, Golden State, San Antonio, Oklahoma City, everything that's kind of encouraging, you just got to kind of take and put in your back pocket for a playoff series. Because if this ends up being a first round matchup, like, probably going to be a ton of Julius after tonight's game, where you just see that Houston had no real option for him. Naz Reid as well. I think it's important to acknowledge that, like, Naz Reid, when he's on a heater, I mean, 5 of 7 from 3, really aggressive, looked confident, even had like a prayer at the end of the shot clock from, like, the, not the half court logo, but like the quarter court logo. Like, when he's on a heater, it's tough to slow him down. But a lot of his stuff did just seem to come throughout the rhythm of an offense, of just whether it was somebody trying to crash a little too hard to be like help on Julius as he was backing somebody down, whether it was like a pass to a pass where, like, Dante gets open, gets the ball, and then whips it over to Reed. Like, a lot of his shots came in the offense, which I think is encouraging, because I do think we see sometimes that it's almost like a force to get Naz the ball, where it's almost like Naz hasn't shot in a while, like, let's get him something, and it's a semi-contested 3 above the break. And Naz is kind of a streak shooter, so if you get those first couple shots as open looks and he hits them, you're kind of off to the races, which, again, it's encouraging. It's nice to see that without Ant on the court, they can still generate kind of that internal gravity, which, like, what I mean by that is, like, when Ant puts his head down and drives to the rim, like, the defense collapses to prevent him from getting to the rim. Now it's even more difficult because the defense collapses to stop him from getting to the rim. They also have to kind of trail him to make sure he's not going to pull that ball back on a string and do his little step back 3. And now he's hitting mid-range jump shots. So, like, the whole focus of the defense when Ant has the ball goes to Ant. And when Ant isn't immediately double teamed, he kind of gets this head of steam that causes that full kind of tilt towards him. I think tonight what we saw is when the other team doesn't have an answer for Julius and he's able to just, put his shoulder down and go to work, he can generate that same gravity, which, again, like, in theory, because we haven't seen a ton of it yet this year, the gravity Julius draws should be able to help Ant get off ball stuff, and also should be able to get these really easy looks for Naz that he was hitting tonight. And I think it's just, again, you don't have Ant, so you don't have his kind of pull on the offense. And you're seeing Julius create similar open looks with his own pull that is just, again, encouraging, which, I'm not a big like moral victory guy, so I'm not going to say any of this is like a moral victory, but like in a playoff series, it's nice to know that if Ant gets 3 fouls in the first quarter for some reason, you can still get the same offense kind of humming with Julius working out of the paint, which again, it's information that Finch and the coaching staff can kind of put in their pocket. I don't think Houston's like the best defensive team out there right now, but I mean, they got good dudes out there that were defending. The other guy I just wanted to highlight like briefly before we get into more of the negatives is just Jaden had another one of those weird Jaden games where he scores 9 in the first quarter, doesn't score again until the fourth quarter. And it you know, he's so talented and he's so able to get to his own shots that he's a guy that at this point you really shouldn't forget is on the court, which I think tonight I had that feeling quite a bit of like, Jaden's out there guarding Durant, so he's at least on defense, but on offense, you almost forget he exists. I mean, the guy took 1 shot in the third quarter and he played 7 minutes. The second quarter, he takes 3 shots and he plays 9.5 minutes, like 16.5 minutes of basketball. And I would argue Jaden's probably your second or third option is getting 4 shots. Like that's tough. Like you got to get that guy to, especially when Ant is out, you got to get him to just be more willing to shoot or like less afraid to miss. I don't know which one it is, but again, he started so strong. You kind of thought, oh, this might be a 20-something point game for McDaniels. And then you look up in the fourth quarter and he still has 9 points. Like it's just, it's a weird dynamic for him. Cole in the chat mentions Finch needs to start calling his number more. I agree with you. And that's the thing where it's, this team is very good at not throwing people under the bus. So you don't know if it's Finch calls his number and he just gets off the ball because he's not feeling comfortable with something, or if he is just being forgotten about. Like Julius was having a good night, Nas was having a good night, but I would argue like this game maybe is in the win column if Jaden takes more than 4 shots in that middle meat of the game. Pack mentality as Jaden needs to be more involved, but he does look to pass off, and he does. I mean, there's a couple times where he got the ball, drove into the kind of the heart of the defense, and then just passed it to Rudy, who I suppose that's about as good of a transition into Rudy Gobert as we're going to get. This was like all of the Rudy Gobert that you can handle in a game. If you're just looking at the box score tomorrow, I mean, 10 points, 13 rebounds, 1 assist, had 2 blocks, 2 steals, 5 offensive rebounds. Like it, unless you scroll over to the shooting, I mean, it looked like Rudy had a heck of a game. But unfortunately, 2 of 10 from the free throw line is, I mean, that's worse than like hack-a-shack stuff. 1 of 4 in the fourth quarter. I mean, Rudy has admittedly been a little better from the free throw line this season, but that's something that they got to get figured out almost immediately. I mean, with tonight's game, he dips down to 51% on the season. Like when we're talking about, again, we learned from Julius and we learned a little bit from Nas, and we got those kind of nuggets of information for a playoff series. I think on the flip side, you look at Rudy tonight, and if he's going to shoot 50% from the free throw line this season, that dude's going to get fouled off the court. Like it's just going to happen. If you're averaging like under 1.5 points per possession as a post player, like you're going to get fouled. And especially with a 50% free throw rate, like if you're not shooting threes and you're average, and like you're going to get fouled off the court. And if I was like, if I'm looking at the Spurs matchup tomorrow, which Cole brings up, are they winning tomorrow? We'll get to that. But like if I'm the Spurs tomorrow, I'm looking at this of like, if it's a 5-point game in the fourth quarter, I'm fouling Rudy until they take him off the court. Like if you lose because Rudy goes 5 of 5 from the free throw line, I think you take that. But there's also a chance he's going to go 2 of 5 from the free throw line. And then what the heck do you do? I mean, then you're just punting on possessions. Ant doesn't get to touch the ball. Julius doesn't get to touch the ball. I do think the Rudy free throw thing needs to be a little bit of a topic. I also went and snooped before I started on here, and the Wolves, including tonight, ranked 28th in free throw percentage, making 75.3% of their free throws. I mean, you look at the teams that are around them, free throw percentage doesn't really tell you a whole lot. 29th ranked team is the 1 seed Detroit Pistons. Houston is ranked 25th. Other than that, none of those teams in the bottom 10 are playoff teams. And I do think when you have a offense that Julius gets to the line and shoots at a pretty good clip, I mean, he's sitting around 80%. You know, you look at Mike, for example, is our only player shooting over 90%. Like there are guys that can hit their free throws, but I mean, if you're hovering around 75% as a team and you're looking at like guys like Rudy, guys like Jalen Clark, who are hovering around 50%, they're just going to get fouled off the court. Like no one's going to chance it with an Ant. Like you're up by 5, you're going to chance fouling a Jalen Clark or Rudy Gobert versus have Ant pull off some heroics, especially with his clutch numbers that have been kind of talked about all season. But again, I don't know how you fix that in season. Most dudes shoot hundreds of free throws a day. I can tell you from being at the end of practices, these dudes go and shoot free throws at the end of practices. Most of them do their individual workout and then don't leave until they hit a certain amount of free throws in a row. Like, I'm just not sure what you can do at this point to dramatically improve that free throw percentage. And if that's the case, they're gonna have that come up as a issue. Like it's just going to be a massive issue going into the playoffs, especially just like analytics tell you foul those guys. Catching up on chat really quick, Cole, we need another reliable ball handler off the bench because Bones goes ghost. I do agree with that in games where Ant isn't playing. I think, you know, tonight it was more egregious because Mike just can't do that anymore. Like, I think Mike is still an asset to this team in a limited role, but as a starter playing 28 to 30 minutes, like Mike just can't. He's not the same guy he was last season. He's not the same guy he was 3 seasons ago. Like whether it's old age, whether it's injuries that have just finally kind of broke, you know, down the body, I'm not sure. But like when Ant isn't out here, it gets thin quick because then you have Julius who can handle a little bit, but we know his turnover stuff. Jaden can handle a little bit, but if he's playing passively, then it doesn't really matter. Dante struggles with really tough pressure. So you're right. Like Cole, you're 100% right. Like when Ant isn't playing, it's just Bones. I think in like the like grand scheme of things, if they got another ball handler, that guy probably wouldn't play on a night-to-night basis. It would be kind of like my backup big contingency plan where it's just where do you feel like is going to be a bigger issue in the playoffs, which certainly ball handling could be an issue in the playoffs. I mean, if Ant isn't significantly better, like I kind of think he is come OKC in the playoffs, they're going to have the same issue where it's just getting picked off going up before half court. Cole, I hate how stars always look like gods against us, especially Jokic. Shams just posted KD. Yeah, it is a little obnoxious how the best player on the opposing teams seem to get significantly better when the Wolves come to town. I will say I don't think it's a coincidence. The Wolves are back-to-back Western Conference Finals team. They are now a team that these opposing stars circle. They know that if they get a dunk against the Wolves, it's going to go viral. Like, dudes care about that stuff. Like, the Wolves are officially a team that people wake up for, which for me is still really, really weird because not a lot of people were waking up to play against Thaddeus Young about 7-8 years ago. Like, not a lot of teams were waking up to play against Wiggins and Levine and Cat just 8 years ago. Like, I do think now they have kind of transitioned into, they are officially a team that opposing stars have circled. And that's why you're seeing, like, Jokic always has a good game. Shea usually goes off. KD's going to go off. Like, it's just, again, the kind of the doldrums of the NBA. These guys only, are going to play at the top of their ability for certain games. And the Wolves are one of those games now. Ren adds, see what happens when you give young players reps. Reed Shepherd playing in the G League, NBA regular minutes is how you develop a young player and see the result. I don't disagree with you. And interestingly, Finch doesn't disagree with you. We're seeing Johan get minutes now. I mean, we're seeing Clark get consistent minutes. 5 years ago, we were seeing Jaden get consistent minutes. I don't know what it is with Rob. I really wish I did, but again, this team is very good at not throwing people under the bus. But we did ask Finch about Johan joining the rotation consistently before they flew down to Houston yesterday. And Finch said, like, minutes for young players are invaluable. Like, that is how they learn. So I don't know why if that's his stance and kind of his core belief, which I tend to think it is. I don't know why Rob hasn't gotten the minutes. I don't know if it's just, Johan, I think is a very serious person. I think he wants to be great. I think he has a personality that's very stoic. And I mean, I posted a video of Finch talking about him yesterday, and just Finch is he plays himself to exhaustion. I think that stuff hits better with a coach than Rob, whose skill set is flash, pizzazz, dribbles, passes. That's just my conspiracy theory. I don't know which, I don't know which one it is with Rob. Cole mentions it in the chat, and that's kind of my current theory, is they are thinking about trading him. And the last, if you're thinking, hey, we're going to trade Rob and that's how we're going to make this team a little bit better, you can't have him get an ankle sprain. He's had a bunch of those. You can't have him pull a calf muscle. You do got to keep him healthy. But then my pushback is why is he playing 10 minutes against Milwaukee? So I'm not sure. Ren follow-up questions. How come they don't play Rob in the G League? That's where I think it's tough with Rob, because Johan, I think, is so inexperienced that even if he was playing at a local YMCA against pot-bellied dudes like me, I think that's going to be valuable for a guy like Johan, who just has not had a lot of basketball reps. Rob, I think if he went to the G League, and he kind of proved it when he was there last year, he kind of proved it in Summer League, he is too good for that. He will cook those guys. And you can say over in Summer League, yeah, but it's important for Rob to read the offense and make those decisions. But I think Rob can read an offense and make those decisions against really good college players and really bad NBA players, which a bad NBA player is still the best basketball player you've ever met in your life. But I think Rob is at a skill level like that. So I don't know if just sending him to the G League and letting him score 28 and 8 is going to help him in his development, because I don't know what he's learning. Whereas I think at least while he's with the main roster, they do, I can't remember the exact name of it, but they, at the end of their, every day, they do a full action scrimmage, full speed with the last 8 guys on the roster. And then they throw Pablo Prigioni and another coach in there. And they are running plays. They have assistant coaches coaching each team. It is an intense, game-like atmosphere. And I think that where Rob is probably being matched up with Jalen Clark guarding him. And on the other side of the floor, you have Johan and you have TJ, and you have better players than G League players. I think that's probably better. or I shouldn't say I think that, like, I'm not sure, but I'm guessing the coaching staff is thinking that having him in that environment where they can correct things, where they can be hands-on with him, is better than just putting him in Iowa and letting him cook. Um, but no, Ren brings up, I feel like Dillingham is going to explode once he gets traded. Messed up not drafting Steph. Just feel like Rob has a very high ceiling. Like I do agree. I think I still have some faith in Rob. I think wherever he gets traded to, he's gonna put up points. Like the guy is talented enough to score. Like if let's just say hypothetically he gets rerouted to Memphis and Ja goes somewhere else and we get, as Cole says, Io, like we get Io out of that somehow, and Ja goes somewhere and the Bulls get something and all the finances work, and Rob is just playing on Memphis now and he has Jaren Jackson Jr. and they're not looking to win games. I could see Rob putting up 15 to 20 a night in 28, 30 minutes. I could also see Rob having like 6.5 turnovers a game and having efficiency issues and like all of the things we've seen. But I do think the next place Rob goes to, there are going to be some pops where it's like, oh man, what did the Wolves do? Like, how did they screw this up? I think it's just, I wouldn't say the situation is like untenable because I just don't know what it's like behind like the coach's doors, but like it does seem like at least for this season Rob's chance has kind of passed and Bones has kind of taken it, which kudos to Bones. I mean, I think he's done the best that he can with that. And like Rob did have a chance. Like all summer they were talking about what they needed to see from him preseason. They talked about what they wanted from him. Even when he got his minutes this season, I mean, I think it's unfortunate that his like hard benching to the end of the bench came after maybe his best game in a Wolves uniform. But like it was a struggle. So I'm not willing to give up on him, certainly. And Ren, as you mentioned, like his defense is, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, the defense isn't the problem. Like, I think his defense has been far superior than I thought it would. Like for a young guard, he plays so hard. He's not afraid to full court press. He gets his body in there. He takes like appropriate gambles on defense. Like he doesn't just like try and shoot every gap for a pass, but like he does it like when it feels right, if that makes sense. He's good on help. When he gets posted up, he has really active hands to try and poke it out of there. He rebounds really hard, which like guards nowadays need to rebound really well. So like the dude's like defense and kind of like basketball and tangible stuff like rebounding, like hustle, stuff like that, I think is fine. I think for Rob, it's just he can't hit a shot for this team, which part of that's probably confidence. Another part of that is even coming out of Kentucky, like the 3-point shot was kind of iffy there. You got to take an extra step back when you get to the NBA. I know he's been trying to change his jump shot a little bit too. That can mess with your confidence. And then the things that he was good at Kentucky, like hitting floaters, hitting wraparound layups, kind of being a great mid-range player, like just hasn't shown up. Like a lot of his layups just get swatted. I don't know if it's a timing thing, a confidence thing. He is small. And then the other side of it is the turnovers. Like if you're going to be a backup point guard in this league or even a starter, you can't have a 1.5 to 1 assist to turnover ratio. And I think the sample size is there now where at least on this Wolves roster this season, that's kind of the reality of him. And Bones is just playing better. But it is going to be interesting if he does get traded and he goes to a team where he has a chance, because I do think there are guys like Nickeil. I think we can use as a good example. Nickeil Alexander-Walker starts off with the Pelicans, gets drafted as kind of a score first guard. They thought, hey, he has the size to play defense, but the dude's really good off the dribble. He's going to be like a primary shot maker, can make difficult shots, has a good off the dribble game, goes into New Orleans, no confidence, terrible. Like his first 2 years in New Orleans, go on Basketball Reference, not great. Couldn't really run an offense. I think he dealt with a lot of confidence issues and a lot of like, he wants to be good so bad that he was pressing too much. He gets traded to Portland in oddly enough, he gets traded to Portland in a 3-way deal, and then he gets rerouted from Portland to Utah for the torn ACL contract of Joe Ingles, who then promptly gets cut. So Portland traded him for $3 million in salary space, essentially. And in Utah, he never really got a chance. Like they tinkered with him a little bit, but that first year in Utah, not really a ton for him to work with. Then he comes to Minnesota where there's a need and a spot, and he kind of blossoms. I think that's similar with Bones. I think Bones has a little bit more like flashes of track record. Like his rookie season in Denver was solid. Before the Clippers went out and got James Harden, like he was having a pretty solid season in his first year in the Clippers. Unfortunately, like, Bones comes here, sits for a year, and then he's solid. So it might just be Rob needs to be rerouted someplace, get a fresh start, and kind of figure it out. Renan's without a true downhill closer. What should Minnesota's default late game action be? I guess getting a real point guard. I mean, I I think their default late game is gonna be a lot of Ant, which if you look back at the prime Lakers with Kobe, yes, Derek Fisher hit a couple clutch threes, but those were not off the dribble threes. Those were off of action, just open threes because Kobe was demanding a triple team. If you look at Jordan and the Bulls, Paxton hits that three because they doubled Jordan. Like, I mean, even Allen Iverson and the Sixers, Aaron McKee was getting a heck of a lot of shots as a point guard because Allen Iverson was doing everything as the off guard. Like, I do think the Wolves feel so confident that late game Ant is going to be able to either get to the post and try and get something to go or get off of it. They also have Julius that is pretty smart late games as well. And then you just need dudes that hit shots. Ren, but without AE, they're screwed. I would argue without AE, the team is screwed regardless, not just late game. I think they're a fun story without AE, but they're not a contender without Ant. But yeah, it's tough with Rob because I think if you're looking at like what the ideal next to Ant would be, it is kind of the idea of a perfect version of Rob Dillingham, right? Where you have a guy that when Ant gets that double, he can kick it to Rob, and Rob is so quick, has such a good first dribble that he can just blow by any help defender, get back into the heart of the defense, and either hit a floater or swing the ball around the corner and start kind of that mismatch until it gets back into Ant or Julius's hands and they're dealing with a closeout defender and can blow by him. It's unfortunate that Rob's shot hasn't been falling enough for people to even care to close out on him, which again, unfortunately there's a lot of talented guys that come into the NBA and it just doesn't work out because they're not hitting shots, which quite frankly, in all honesty, sucks. Joseph adds Najee Marshall for Rob and Lenny. Yeah, that's probably the type of deal you're looking at is something like that. I do think Rob and Lenny are probably the two that make the most sense to go out. They get you to that 9 million range. Wolves can take a little bit back extra since they're not completely pressed up against the second apron. Like Rob and Lenny gets you to 9 something. I think Rob and TJ gets you to 10.5, 11. Like those are probably the packages that would be going out for like a Najee Marshall or a Quentin Grimes or just someone that's a little bit extra kick. Or if you're on the center bandwagon, like those contracts are going out and you're getting like a Brook Lopez or a Jock Landell or someone that's not the most inspiring name, but would at least serve a purpose on this team. Going back kind of into the Houston game after a very long Rob Dillingham diatribe, though, like I do think this Houston game is at least encouraging when you're looking at kind of the grand scheme of the West. And what I want to close on with that, unless people fire more questions out. But you look at Houston tonight, and that was a team that was pretty close to full health. Like Steven Adams wasn't playing, there's some bumps and bruises. But you look at that team, and it's just an inherently flawed team. And that, to me, is encouraging that the Wolves are kind of rounding the corner and hammering out all of these like dings and dents to make their car look perfect, right? Like as it's racing down to the finish line. I think you're looking at a Houston team, and it's like, man, they just have a lot of holes. Like it is very Kevin Durant heavy. Şengün is good, but I think at times when he was matched up with Randall on defense, or even Rudy at times, like the physicality just seemed to really bug him. And I mean, they have Josh Okogie playing 30 minutes. Like that's tough. We've been there, Wolves fans and Wolves community. We've had Josh Okogie for 30 minutes. Delightful person. I'm glad he shaved most of his hair. But that's tough. Like Josh Okogie 30 minutes is tough. I think Asar Thompson you see tonight is still kind of a young player figuring it out. Jabari Smith. Again, they talked about him putting on weight 73 times in the broadcast. Still looked really overpowered at times. Like you look at this Houston team, and it's like, okay, if that's who the Wolves are kind of competing with for that 3-4 seed, maybe an outside shot at the 2 seed. I think you look at Houston, you kind of feel pretty good about the Wolves right now, even though they lost tonight. I think you look at what they have going on for issues, and it's like, oh, they don't really have a lead guard either. Like it's just weird. I think you can kind of say the same thing with the Spurs. Like you look at the Spurs, and we'll find out more of it tomorrow when the Wolves play the Spurs, which I'll be honest, I assume Ant is good to go. I think this toe thing is more of just maintenance, trying to get, everything healed up to the best that they can. And unfortunately, like running on any foot injury for 38 minutes every other night is usually not a good way to heal it. But like you look at the Spurs, like Wemby against Minnesota, look pretty average. I mean, Julius legitimately kind of punked them with the physicality. You look at their guard play, like De'Aaron Fox hit shots in the fourth quarter and some pull-ups, but I wouldn't say he looked fantastic. Stephon Castle looked humid. Keldon Johnson always kind of torches the Wolves, but I'm not sure how many Wolves players are like fearful of Johnson. I think kind of up and down the roster, you look at the Spurs, and the question I kind of had is like, how are they going to close like multiple games in a playoff series? They're kind of just who they are, which maybe that changes by the playoffs. Maybe, Wemby goes up another step and figures out more things and isn't on a minutes restriction, and it's just, game over for the league. But like, I felt similar to the Spurs that I did to Houston, where it's just, they have some questions, and I think their answers are going to be harder to get than the Wolves answers. And again, the other team is the Lakers. Like, they're led by Luka, Austin Reeves, and LeBron, and everyone else is kind of struggling on and off. And is LeBron going to be healthy by playoffs? Is Luka going to be healthy by playoffs, who's kind of had a history of getting banged up at some point during a season? I think, the Nuggets and the Thunder are probably the two teams that are, maybe quote unquote, like clearing ahead of the Wolves. But the Nuggets aren't going to have Jokic for a couple more weeks. So if they do eventually start to falter, there's an opportunity there. And also, even though the Nuggets have beaten the Wolves 3 times this year, the Wolves have had their number for 2.5 seasons. Like I do think that swagger, that confidence matters. Like I leave these games kind of more encouraged because the Wolves, when they have everything clicking, are a ridiculously good high energy team. Catching up a little bit more here on chat before we close. Joseph adds, they did have a back-to-back, but I do think they're very flawed, meaning Houston 40 minutes from Durant to get the win is crazy. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's so Durant heavy that, that guy has an injury history. He is older in the league. Like, that's tough. Cole, I don't want us to be the 4th seed. Agree. Pack mentality. Lost by 5 without Ant. Not too bothered. Agreed. Ren, is there a lineup right now that you think they should close games that they're not using with or without Ant? Also, how's TJ when they say he's going to return? TJ, not too much known yet. They did reevaluate him earlier in the week. Again, foot stuff's weird. I kind of said it all last year with Dante of just like how you heal foot stuff is you don't use your foot. And that is exceptionally hard to do in general. Like, we all walk for the most part. And then if you're not using your foot for 4 weeks, it takes another week or so to kind of get back into game shape. I'll be honest, TJ, I kind of get the feeling he's in a similar spot with Rob where they might just kind of punt on this season and see how he looks this summer and evaluate for next year. Closing lineup that I wish they would use more. This might be unpopular opinion, but I wish they would do almost what they did tonight, but like Ant, Jaden, Nas, Julius, and Rudy. Like, I think that Ant locked in on defense, Jaden's defense, and Rudy's defense should be able to make up for Nas playing small forward. Like, you should be able to hide him. If he gets a switch on him, you should be able to help. Like, I think that should work on defense. And Julius, when he is locked in on defense, we just saw him shut down Wemby almost single-handedly. Like, that guy, when he's locked, is good. You flip that onto the offensive side, and you have Ant, who is 6'5", and every other player on the court is 6'9" or taller. I don't know how you defend that. Like, I truly don't. You have Rudy roam underneath. The other 4 guys can all shoot pretty well. All 4 of them can catch the ball and dribble with it. Like, that lineup, I hope is being saved for the playoffs or for later in the season. But like, that lineup, to me, having Nas in there instead of Dante, I think just opens up a lot of doors, which we'll see. Again, that's just me looking at it on paper and being kind of a more defensive guy when I'm looking at stuff and saying, like, they should be able to cover for it. And I don't know how you stop that much size. Like, that's obnoxious how much size, shooting, strength, skill they would have. Joseph, I think the Wolves have a good shot against Wemby, and the Wolves keep him outside of the paint. We'll be okay. Exactly. And that's, I think, the big change when Julius started guarding him in the 4th in their last matchup was Wemby was trying to get it kind of on the block, and Julius was pushing him well outside of the nail on the free throw line. And then Wemby got it and turned his face to the basket and was like, I am 3 feet further away than I thought I was. Like, I think they have a good chance. Farah adds, I truly believe we're going to be the 2 or 3 seeds. I feel like the Rockets aren't that good and the Spurs have some issues. Completely agree with you, Cole. Good thing is they don't have to travel far. Yeah, I was actually asking PR about that after the practice. I'm like, what do you guys do? Do you like bus there the same night? Do you like take a flight? Like, how's that work when you have to go like that short of a distance? And it sounds like, yeah, it's just a good old fashioned bus trip across Texas. So to hear those Anthony Edwards stories when they're all trapped on a bus for 3.5, 4 hours. I will be back live tomorrow, though, after that Spurs game. I'm just checking real quick on my spreadsheet who is going to be joining me. So it won't be a solo one tomorrow. Sorry for all you people that love these solo ones where I'm just kind of rambling into the abyss. But Heather Rule actually will be with me. She's taking a little bit of a break from her hockey coverage to come talk hoops and talk Spurs. So we'll be back after that. For people that have come in, leaving comments, I always appreciate you guys. Appreciate you spending time now on a Saturday morning with me. And if you did come into this late, you want to rewatch, re-listen to the entire thing before you go to bed tonight, for God knows why. I mean, I used to work night shifts, so I do know why some people listen to podcasts at 1 a.m. But if that is your preference, this does go live on YouTube and on X as soon as I hit end stream, so you can catch that there. If you are okay waiting until the morning, it does get published anywhere you get your podcasts over at The Missing Wolves at 7 a.m. But yeah, we'll be back after the Spurs, and hopefully Ant's playing and they're able to pull that one out.